What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back to the ThrashManiac99 YouTube channel. And yes, can you believe it? A second straight week of an album review. Oh my god, I can't believe it either. But hey, I said to myself I would try and do at least one review a week. And this is the review for the week, and it's a big one. It was supposed to come out back on January 15th, but they pushed it to 2 more weeks, and it came out January 29th. And I am finally here to talk about this album from one of the best old school metal bands out of Germany back in the 80s, and I am of course referring to Accept. Now, Accept, for those of you who have been living under a rock, Accept is a German heavy metal band that formed in the mid-1970s, around 1976. Didn't release their debut album until about 1979-1980 with their self-titled debut. Then they would put out albums like I Am a Rebel, Breaker, and then the two classics most people know this band for are the two albums Restless and Wild and Balls to the Wall, particularly songs like Fast as a Shark and the song Balls to the Wall, but they also put out a great album afterwards called Metal Heart. Then they kind of went through some infighting for the rest of the 80s and through the 90s, and then after about 96-97, the band was split for a long time, and then we get to the late 2000s going into 2010, and there's this threatening legal issue between classic vocalist Udo Darkschneider and the rest of the band. They thought about getting back together, but Udo said, if we get back together, I want the name rights to the band. And they're like, no, you're not going to get it. So Udo went off on his own. Well, he had already had a solo band going, but he basically went off on his own. And the rest of Accept continues it as Accept by picking up legendary and underrated vocalist from New Jersey, Mark Tornillo from the band TT Quick. And starting in 2010 with Blood of the Nations, they have just been on a comeback tear. Kind of companion to what I was talking about with Asphyx last week, and that is that since they made their comeback, they've just been putting out consistently great albums. Accept is kind of in that same category of a band that came back after a long hiatus and have been putting out great albums. Blood of the Nations was fantastic. Stalingrad, Blood of Brothers was a really good album. Blind Rage, which I did a review of on this channel 7 years ago, and that was voted my personal album of the year for 2014. And it's still one of the top 10 best metal albums of the 2010s. Didn't really get into the album Rise of Chaos, which came out 4 years ago, which was the last time we had a new Studio Accept album, and now we're here early 2021 with their new album, Too Mean to Die. Now, of course, Too Mean to Die, what a title, basically stating, hey, you can't take me down, which is kind of a theme throughout this album lyrically, as we kick things off with the song Zombie Apocalypse. This is quite a thrashy tune, and now with Accept, the closest band that I could compare them to would be a band like Judas Priest. They have a good mixture of traditional heavy metal and speed metal. With Accept, they had a little bit more of a thrashier influence into their speed metal sound than, say, Judas Priest. And it's proven with this song, Zombie Apocalypse. Self-explanatory lyrically, talking about saving someone from a zombie apocalypse. And the music itself, amazing lead guitar work, and actually this is 3 guitar players on this album. Wolf Hoffman being the only original guy left in the band, and he's still performing amazing solos and writing heavy, catchy riffs. And Zombie Apocalypse, like I said, a bit of a thrasher to open things up on this album. Then we get to the title track, which it starts to kind of pull back a little bit in terms of the speed and get more into like mid-tempo territory. And of course, basically, the title track itself is the statement, you're gonna have to kill me to stop me, but I'm too mean to die. Overnight Sensation. Now this is a curious one because musically it kind of has a bit of like a party feel to it, which Accept does do a little bit of that on their albums. Like hell, I could compare this song to a track like Dark Side of My Heart from Blind Rage, where it has that similar kind of vibe. Lyrically speaking, some people might look at this as a bit, a little bit of cringeness, whatever. But I kind of like it because it's basically taking shots at YouTubers who do stupid crap to get famous and take shots at the Kardashians. Hell, they even reference the Kardashians in the lyrics on this song. And I thought it was a nice takedown of some of these idiots in the world that think that, oh, you don't have to go to Hollywood to become famous and become an actor. You can just be famous by doing the stupidest of things, or the dumbest of things, I should say, on the internet. That's kind of what Overnight Sensation's all about. And while you could look at the lyrics and be like, isn't this a bit much? It doesn't matter, and the music itself complements the lyrics perfectly, and it's kind of got, like I said, that party feel to it, which I do like. No One's Master, the following track, basically making the statement that I'm not here to rule over anybody or be a slave to anybody. And you gotta admit, Accept's lyrics do talk a lot about some of the issues most people don't want to talk about, like human trafficking and global warming and so on and so forth. Not to the extreme sense of a band like Cattle Decapitation by any stretch of the imagination, but it's thought-provoking and it's uplifting and trying to tell you, do more for the greater good in that kind of situation. And No One's Master definitely propels that upwards in terms of the lyrics. But then we get to my favorite song of the album, and it's a song I cannot stop listening to. It's probably the catchiest song and the darkest song on the album. And I'm not lying, for those of you who are watching this review that are also wrestling fans, no, I'm not kidding you when I say that this song is called The Undertaker. And when you read the lyrics, it's like, yeah, it can. Some people think it's simplistic. I say those people don't understand the purpose of writing lyrics. And this song lyrically is dark. And when you read the lyrics and you listen to the song and say you're watching something with The Undertaker in the WWE, it fits The Undertaker's character to a T, and hell, even in the music video. Yeah, the main character looked like the frontman for the band Avatar, but Mark Tornillo, the vocalist, singer, is dressed like The Undertaker with the hat and the big coat. If he ain't a wrestling fan, why did he wear that costume? Answer me that in the comments, I guess. But the music, it's dark. It's got this dark melodic solo towards the end that complements the main melodic riff as you hear Tornillo singing, "The Undertaker knows no shame." It meshes together so beautifully. And that's why I love this song. The music behind it, the lyrical themes, and how you could maybe make a compilation of The Undertaker's WWE career and use this song. And hell, I'm going to say it right now, WWE, if you by some miracle find this, which I doubt, but get the licensing rights to that song, buy the licensing rights to use that song for Undertaker's Hall of Fame package. It would be the perfect song, and it's an amazing song. And if anybody could do it, it could be Triple H. Just gonna throw that little tip in the jar. But in just a moment. Now, you want to talk about slightly cringy lyrics, but also kind of doing a takedown on some stupid people. Kind of like Overnight Sensation, we get to the song Sucks to Be You, which is basically calling out people who think their shit don't stink and how they're cocky and arrogant. But yeah, whenever they have to put their money where their mouth is, and they can't, basically say, well, it sucks to be you because you don't have the balls to back up what you say. So that's kind of the vibe I get lyrically with that track. Musically speaking, it kind of fits a little bit of that party vibe, kind of like Overnight Sensation. But then you get to another speedy song, Symphony of Pain, that starts off with this amazing, like, tapping solo at the beginning that sort of reminded me of listening to the beginning of Blackened Call by Beelzebubs. For those of you who have never heard that song, check it out. The opening's kind of similar to that in like the tapping melodic solo, and then it gets full-on speed metal, and then you get to probably the one ballad on the album, The Best Is Yet to Come, talking about the best version of your inner self yet to come out in the real world. And I think that's a very, very good lyrical song. Very powerful, very thought-provoking, and meaningful. How Do We Sleep? The longest song of the album at 5 minutes 41 seconds. Again, kind of tying back to like a song like No One's Master or Zombie Apocalypse. Again, talking about the problems in the world and like how do we sleep, and then the lyrics, how do we sleep with the world going to hell? That's the question a lot of people would ask someone. And musically speaking, it rips, it's catchy. And then you get to the last of the singing tracks, Not My Problem, which is the last of the real speedy, thrashy kind of tracks. And this was maybe my second or third favorite song on the album. It's neck and neck with this and Zombie Apocalypse for my second favorite song, but The Undertaker's still my favorite track of the album. But Not My Problem, talking about how people want to come to you to solve their problems that they can't seem to handle by themselves, and you basically tell them, do it yourself like a man, because it's not my problem. And then we conclude with the instrumental Samson and Delilah. I believe that's how you say it. And it's a really good instrumental to close out an awesome album. So you got a ton of a lot of great melody on this album. Wolf Hoffman's guitar still rips. Mark Tornillo's voice, he to me is like the heavy metal version of Brian Johnson. There are moments on this album where he reminds me of Brian Johnson from AC/DC. No kidding. Musically speaking, it's your typical Accept. You get your mixture of old school metal, speed metal. It's like there are moments on this album that remind me of bands like Judas Priest, AC/DC, Megadeth even, and a little Overkill. Then again, Overkill, Bobby Blitz, and Mark Tornillo are really good friends, so I could kind of get where I could hear a little bit of that vibe at times on this album, especially in some of the lyrics, kind of like... Some of the lyrics on this album would be kind of lyrics I would expect to see on an Overkill album. But regardless, now the big question, is this better than Blind Rage? I'm gonna say no, but it's very close. Like, I think if I were to rank this in the last decade of Accept albums, I would put this between 2 or 3 along with Blood of the Nations. You know, these two, like Blood of the Nations and Too Mean to Die, are so close, but nothing tops Blind Rage in my personal opinion. So one time I could say this is the second best album in the comeback. The other day I'll say it's the middle ground. But overall, this is an amazing album, and you should definitely check it out. If I'm going to give it a score, last week I gave Necroceros a 9 out of 10. I'm also going to give this one a 9 out of 10. The couple of things you have to look out for are a little bit cringy lyrics at times, particularly with the song Sucks to Be You and Overnight Sensation, but you understand where they were going with it. Basically like takedowns of cocky and arrogant people, as well as internet morons and the Kardashians. But regardless, the music is great, vocals are fantastic, the production by Andy Sneap, of course. Andy Sneap is a master of production, so... But yeah, 9 out of 10 for Too Mean to Die by Accept. I highly recommend it. What did you guys think of Too Mean to Die, for those who have heard it and is watching this video? Let me know in the comments below. Don't know what I'm going to review next week, but until next time, peace out, horns high, and I will see you soon. I don't want to do this, but I have no other option.
No! Please! Isn't what
I feel like I'm about to commit the biggest genocide of all time on this show.
Wait,
My number 7?
Do it.
My number 7? Behemoth the Satanist.
No! 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 Are you serious?
And now Hannah's going to hide in the shadows.
damn you!
Everybody
Why?
died. See ya.
Why?
You have